Hey everybody, welcome back. I am Eric, this is Gary. Today we are smoking the Unstolen Valor by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. We're talking about New Year's resolution, diets that have worked for us, haven't worked for us, and are cigars keto? Find out. This is Cedar Culture.
Kick back and relax, it's time to shoot the shit. Hanging out with the broskies, Gary and Eric. Let the ash go long and the convo stay pure. That's Cedar Culture. That's Cedar Culture. That's Cedar Culture.
Let's bundle these leaves and burn them and suck on them.
We are ready to roll, buddy.
What do you got? What whiskey you pouring tonight, bud?
What did I get? Oh, a Midwinter's Dram. The rye, I don't like rye, but that's the stuff it's like expensive and hard to find, and not expensive.
Do you like it, or is it a rye that you can handle, or?
I mean, I'm going to drink it because it's like $100 a bottle, but no, I don't like it. Luckily, I bought this. I entered a raffle, and then
you didn't get the raffle.
Well, no, I entered the raffle. That was it was like expensive per spot because it's an expensive bottle. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, I'm like, wait, I always blindly bid on these raffles. And then I called my local liquor store. They're like, yeah, we got like 20 bottles.
And it wasn't.
I'm just kidding.
It was like,
no, it's rare. They didn't have like 20 bottles. They did. It's allocated. They had it in their office. Okay. So I did have to go like ask for it in the office. That's like a little trick I learned. I didn't know. It's probably what Dan Pratt does. If you go to like a good liquor store, you just go up to an employee or manager and say, hey, do you have anything allocated in the manager's office? That's all you say. And they know that's normal, that's common. And they'll just be like, yeah, I've got some Blantons or whatever.
That's really cool to know.
Yeah.
Because I always wonder, I don't see that kind of stuff out.
Totally. And I'm assuming the reason why they do it is because they don't want like your wife's going to pick up a bottle of shitty whiskey to mix with Coke. They don't want her to accidentally buy a bottle of Blanton's or something like that.
Yeah,
and then like
sense.
there's people like you who are good, loyal customers who call regularly, who go and stop in. So they don't save. I don't think they'll save for specific people. But anyway, we're not here to talk about whiskey. We're here to talk about this really exciting cigar.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
All right, so Muestra de Saka. Sample of Saka. Mm-hmm. We did the hashtag blah 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 like the now leaving the hell alone.
NLMETHA.
This is in that line.
Fifth release, I believe. From
I think it's like our third Dunbarton stick we've done.
Yeah.
So we normally probably wouldn't do that many of one kind, but he's just got a lot that we want to try. It's really exciting kind of stuff. And so
this is the Unstolen Valor.
Yes.
Comes in a Toro, a 6x52. Comes in a beautiful
all
coffin.
Nicaraguan stuff.
All Nicaraguan. Puro.
It smells delicious. Want to get to cutting this bad boy and getting it lit.
As all the Muestra de Saka lines, this comes in its own little cedar coffin. Cool little thing they do.
So
Beautiful
while we're lighting,
golden brown color.
While we're lighting here, fun little fact that I learned. So Muestra de Saka like literally translates to like sample of Saka, and the idea was he wanted to do all these different cigars that are just really classic Saka, like they're just really him, Mm-hmm. What I learned while doing a little research for this one, the Unstolen Valor, this is the only one in that line that he did not blend.
Yep.
Is that what you were saying?
That's the one where I was like, wow, really didn't know that.
So what I found was that, but also taking it a little bit further. So the reason why it's called Unstolen Valor, he was originally going to call it Stolen Valor because it's the only one that he didn't blend.
Oh.
But the thing is, he was like right before it got released, he said it just felt weird because while it is somebody else's thing, it's not egregious. Like they partnered on it, And Stolen Valor, that's a real thing. Like that Stolen Valor, like after 9/11.
See those videos all the time of guys getting.
Well, especially after 9/11 and stuff, you would see that a lot, right? And back when people still really liked the military because of 9/11 and all that. People would like Stolen Valor and would wear uniforms. And so I think he realized, it's a cool name, but like, I don't know, this is all above board. So I'm going to call it Unstolen Valor. It's still a nod to the guy.
I like that.
But it's above board. It's
military question, which I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. So if you don't know, that's okay. The metal that is on the door of the coffin, is that anything specific, or is it just a logo? It's a circle star with a ribbon.
To me, it looks like just a standard metal icon, but it's a great question. I don't know.
Wonder if it means anything.
It very well could. Now I'm very curious. Now I'm going to have to look it up later or whatever. It's also possible that like every branch in the military, so there's some like the Medal of Honor, right? That goes across branches, but then there's branch-specific ones too.
Sure.
And so,
It'd be interesting. What did you do a dry draw at all?
No, I didn't. What do you get?
Curious what you get. The dry draw, I got a little bit of pepper. And then classic Saka stuff, leathery, chocolatey.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of dried fruit, little like a kind of pruniness,
Okay, I can see
raisin
that.
kind of thing going on.
It's funny you said that. On the second or third light, I got I got a little raisin.
So now I'm gonna mess with these matches. These matches suck; they always go out. But I've realized I'm a soft flame guy. I have trouble lighting with a torch sometimes, and then sometimes I'll burn part of it too much, and then part of it's not even lit.
So I don't know if you saw what I was doing, but I was a triple or quad flame guy just because I'm big, I'm clumsy, I like to just do it. But I noticed exactly what you said, that I was charring some of it, I wasn't getting an even light. I moved to the single torch where I can control it a lot, and I literally toast the entire thing till I see a cherry develop. I don't inhale any of it. If anything, I kind of blow the flame on the cherry to make sure it spreads. And then I do that purge in the beginning where I'm blowing out, making sure I'm not getting any butane from the lighter or anything inside. Do a couple purges. Again, that shows me that it's lit all the way through. And then I take my initial inhale, and I've noticed a lot more flavors I'm hopefully supposed to be tasting than artificial ones. You said all your matches go out. You couldn't even get those ones out.
Well, I've developed a new technique. They would always go out, but what I started doing was doing 3 at once, and then I kind of crisscross them in a way so that the red of the match is spaced out a little bit.
Okay.
And what that's done by having that is that when I light it, it broadens the flame a little bit. Whereas when I had it as holding 3 matches tight, it's kind of one flame and it would still go out.
There you go.
So by spreading it, it's been like this awesome
I like that.
flame.
I like the
I just
3.
wasted all these matches.
I like that you used the 3 too, because I've heard some stories where like that's what guys with cigars.
Siri just talked back at you?
I think she did. I don't know why. That's what like guys in Cuba would have, like 3 unlit matches in front of them, one to toast, one to kind of light, and then one to do the draw light in there.
The first time I grabbed 3 matches, it was as an inside joke to myself because I was alone. But it was because I heard the whole 3 match thing. I was like, I'll just use all 3 at once.
No one's looking.
No. Dude, so our second episode of the new year. Really exciting.
2021.
We're in 2021 now. We're still in 2020, recording this. We're
in the future.
We're in the future. Wow. That's heavy.
That's heavy, Doc. That's heavy.
But I don't know. We figured we'd kick off today a little bit, talking a little bit. Well, actually, you were saying to me, so you're keto typically, really strict keto for a while, lost a ton of weight doing keto. And then, during the holidays, you gave yourself a little bit of a free pass, but you were talking about how bloated you felt and you gained like 10 pounds in 3 minutes from eating so much candy. And that's how I've been too. And it's just all carbs. And so I can go for like a 2-hour walk the next day and I feel a lot better. But it sparked a conversation. It was like, oh, what's your New Year's diet going to be kind of thing? And you're going back to keto. Yeah,
I'm going back to keto. Keto is something like, I don't know when it was Atkins or whatever the low carb lifestyle was. I just always my body just seemed to really be able to process fats way better than it's processing sugar, especially at the same time with fat.
Yeah.
So when keto kind of came out as a lifestyle, my wife was actually the one to spur me last New Year's Eve to be like, I was 415 pounds. I was
415.
Yeah, I was a big boy.
That's a big boy. At 5'1", no less. That's crazy.
4'11", 3/4. I'm about 6'3", 6'4", depending on what 7-Eleven I'm leaving and the height variances of that. But I was doing powerlifting, and I always would kind of hide behind, well, I'm lifting a lot, I'm training a lot, so it's okay.
I need to eat these 40 wings.
Oh my God! At 2 a.m. after my 15 beers, So I wasn't drinking during the week, but I was
15 beers is not keto.
Yeah, I was drinking a ton on the weekends, which would make me eat poor at like 2 a.m. So honestly, it was just one of those things. I knew I wasn't like super religious about writing everything I ate and keeping a food log diary. So I just said, dude, cut out sugar, cut out the sugared sodas.
See what comes next.
I'll look at the next step when I need to. And the weight started really falling off. You talk a lot about walking. We used walking as a great low impact cardio session. We would do long walks, short walks, everything in between. I was still doing some powerlifting movements, a lot of body weight stuff. And I went from 415 to I got to 285 in July and August.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so it totally makes sense why you'd go back to keto.
Yep.
I'm curious. So you talk like we do walks and stuff, and you don't have to agree just because we're shooting an episode. You can totally disagree. But I brought up earlier. You had said when you really got into walking over the summer, you had a stated goal of walking a marathon.
Yep.
And did you give yourself a timeline? Was it in this year?
I don't think I did. I just said like because I think
something tells me it was this year.
Was it? It might have been.
I feel like it might have been.
It might have been.
You might be like no timeline now. But either way, that would be a reasonable stated goal.
My first goal was 10 miles, and then the day I walked 10 miles, I was like, oh, well, I should do like a marathon.
So do you want to do half on New Year's Eve? Did you think about that since I suggested it?
Yeah, no, I've definitely been mulling it over. Not that I'm afraid. I'm just like, we should just do it. Yeah, I mean.
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. But let's say we're going to do it if we're going to do it. Because we could do middle of the day. Yeah. We could do something where we even go by your neighborhood and like, I don't know, take a different one of your kids for a mile,
that's kind of
different
cool.
things or like even, whatever.
Okay.
So think about it. But I really think we should do it. I think we should do it.
Be a great way to
end the year kind of thing.
And it's not going to be long. I mean, 13-something odd miles.
4 hours
yeah,
or something like that.
It's not going to be like,
No, about 4 hours. We'll probably take a little break.
And then do we say we do for 2021?
Yeah,
the full?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's the kind of thing.
I would be into that. I really would.
All right, so let's see if the timing works.
Yeah.
We could always do...
Even to start 2021 and end 2021.
Yeah, or we could do it here and then do an episode after. Whatever, think about it. But anyway, so...
Good idea.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I've dabbled with keto. It's not for me. It works. It works for me. I agree. My body does, like... I've done paleo in the past a lot. My body really reacts well to that.
I don't know. Like, is that more nut and meat based? Less dairy?
Yes. Yeah, there's no dairy on strict kind of paleo. It's, they say kind of go back to your ancestors, what was readily available, and technically at that time, we weren't sucking the tits of other animals, so milk's out.
Well, that people knew of. I'm sure they're always doing it.
I mean, yeah, Herbert in the corner was definitely sucking animal tits. So, and no legumes. I don't really know the why on that one. I don't know if
Keto's the same way.
Our ancestors didn't have beans. Well, that makes sense. It's carbs, it's starchy carbs.
Yeah.
It's high carbs. I don't know why. Peanuts, they call it legumes. So the whole paleo thing, it might be a fancy way to say keto. But there are a couple things that are paleo that wouldn't be keto. I just can't really think of them right now.
I remember seeing the only reason I didn't even know about the paleo is I'll see keto selection at Wawa and it's just nuts and stuff, and then the paleo one next to it has some dried fruit and stuff in it.
Yeah, there you go. That's that's
right.
That's paleo fruit. Now they would say limit fruit.
Right.
But that's more on the health side than anything else. I know some people that would say, oh, if you're on a diet, you can't eat fruit. That's a candy bar. You're stupid if you think that. If you're trying to lose your last weight, sure.
Right.
You're if you have 100 pounds to lose and you're trying to lose that last 20, yeah, you probably need to cut out fruit. Also, you probably shouldn't eat 40 bananas in a day. That might be too much sugar, but that's probably...
Sugar and using the restroom is going to be difficult.
Yeah. Or, no, it'd be easy, right?
Would it?
It's a lot of fiber.
Okay, but doesn't fiber want both?
No.
Fiber binds and helps you go?
No, fiber just helps you go. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. But anyway, so fruit is not paleo. I've always had really good success on that, but the reality is when you're doing paleo, you're also cutting out all alcohol because that's any kind of so I don't know.
That was another thing I did this year that I kind of forgot that I did because I didn't start out doing that. My last real drink was on December 31st of 2019.
Yeah.
It was my champagne toast, and then I got on the scale the next day and I was like, wow.
So,
and I didn't start out saying I'm not going to drink, but I hit the 6 or 8 month mark, and I was like, well, let me see if I can challenge myself to not have a beer. I've had a sip of some of the beers you've had. I had a little sip of Bland's, but I have not had a full serving of a drink.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
I haven't gotten drunk in a year. Crazy.
So let's pause real quick for the cigar.
Sure.
What are you thinking so far?
From the dry draw, I was expecting a lot more pepper, just because I got pepper on the dry draw, and when I feel like I get pepper on the dry draw, I feel like it's kind of throughout. I'm getting that leathery. It tastes like a Saka, it really does. I'm more curious to see if it changes throughout the thirds.
Yeah.
It's a Puro Nicaraguan, so it might not.
It might not. It's I do this. Falls in a pretty broad category that you'll hear me say sometimes, where this tastes like a cigar. To me, it's just. Almost
What a good cigar.
Of course, no, a great
it's
cigar.
It's not just
But what I say about it, and it does, I guess, sound a little insulting, but I don't mean it insulting at all. I truly mean that, if I was a kid watching Looney Tunes and somebody was smoking a cigar, it's almost like this is what I would expect. Yeah, as opposed to a lot of cigars that you might have at first that are cheaper cigars that are just really acrid tasting, or that smoke is really harsh. And that's what I mean when I say this tastes like a cigar, cigar should.
It's as someone who knows you and knows somewhat of the cigar world, I kind of understand what you're saying. Like, it's that natural. We talked about dipping and chewing before, and like it almost has that red man, like just deep, rich tobacco flavor. Not a cigarette tobacco, like that deep, fully. And
I don't know that this is a sun grown or not or whatever, but it's and it feels like it's in that vein of flavor. Maybe just to give, would you agree with that? I don't know.
I would.
Yeah,
I would.
So I think just to give some people an idea of those sun-grown ones. You know what it really tastes like to me? It tastes like an unsweetened tea.
Yep, I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
A lot of times we don't agree on.
But on that description, I really do. When you smelled the foot, or I don't know if we did it on camera, it was before we started.
Cheesy feet.
Well, I smelled a bunion on you, which I think you need to get checked out. But no, when I smelled the foot of the cigar, I was like, this gives me, like, I feel like a Liga. Like, it reminds me of, like, a good...
Yeah, he did say that.
Liga.
And I have the memory of a gnat, so I believe you, but I don't recall that.
You know what I'm interesting? Kind of finishing up just our initial thoughts on the stick. When we were doing some research, and I never always know what it means, so we're learning just like you guys are out there, when they talk about the cigar being medium to full.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if
Jay
my palate's changed.
The other day.
I don't know if my tolerance has changed, my palate's changed, but there are times where you see a review and they're like, make sure you eat. This is a bomb. You're going to have this sickness. And I'm like...
So as I understand that, that's not what people mean when they say, like, light or heavy, or like full medium, full or medium bodied or light bodied. To me, when I hear somebody say it's like comes at you strong, and I think obviously there's no textbook on this, so everybody's using it differently. But this is just kind of how I understand it and how I use it. Is if I were to say a cigar is strong or not, I'm talking about like kind of the nicotine. Like how did it make me? Like, did it make me feel sick or
lightheaded?
Not? Yeah. Whereas full or medium or light-bodied, it's more about the body of the smoke.
Okay.
And like, is it a heavy, dense smoke? Does it fill your mouth? Does it coat your tongue? Versus, remember when we were smoking, I think it was the crema. I would say that being thick and creamy, like I would call that like a full body. And now I could be, again, this is just me and my definitions, because that is a lighter cigar. Like that's not what I think a lot of people would call full body, but I would call it like full bodied because it's thick and creamy. And then it went to like a lighter body at one point, but it also got more acrid tasting when it did that. And so while it was a lighter smoke, it was a harsher smoke. And I think that's where we all get conflicted and we all mix our language together, is because something that's like a light body with a shitty tasting smoke, somebody might call strong or heavy.
Right.
And it's not. It's light. It's light. It just tastes like shit.
I remember having to wrap my head around a light cigar can be strong and a dark cigar can be light.
But
like,
again,
what?
According to you and me and how some people talk, but again, because we're all going to use our own language. I mean, think about it. Cigar companies can't agree on cigar sizes. So if they can't agree on cigar sizes, I mean, I know there's like obviously standard sizes, but when you look at all these boutique brands now, they're coming up with their own names for their own sizes.
Right.
I mean, if the industry can't agree on like sizes, then we're certainly not going to agree on like some colloquial terminology.
One of the things I like that Saka does, and I don't know if he'll stay true to this, but I saw it noted in one of the reviews, and it was something I was kind of picking up on too, that they do singular sizes per release. So
on the Muestra de Sakas.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
So the Unstolen Valor is always going to be this Toro 6x52. The Now Leave Me the Hell Alone.
You say always, but
well,
I know.
At the time of this release, it's always that, right?
Yeah.
And I said, I wonder if he's going to stay true to that.
I hope so.
Because when we did the Crazy Bitches episode, we talked about the three sisters were really the three different sizes.
Yeah.
And what I like about when you do that in the pure sense of it is that they say like you're blending the cigar and you're making the size for that cigar's blend's specific optimal smoking experience.
Right.
So do you need more, denser, looser? How's the roll going to be? That kind of thing. So I like the fact that Saka does that, and I think it's easier as a producer. You're producing one size of one cigar,
It's certainly easier for
or
your
as
fans.
a consumer, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's certainly easier for the consumer. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, yeah. We just went to the shop. We were just at a brick and mortar shop because it's the one by me. We've talked about in a couple episodes. It's a big shop, and been telling you about it for a while.
Super impressed with their selection.
Being in education, you've got some downtime now, so we took the opportunity to smoke a cigar that maybe is going to take a little longer to smoke and drive. It's about 25 minutes from me. Actually, I think we just found out it might be closer to you than it is to me.
I think it's 11 and a half from you and like 9 miles from us.
It might be closer to you. So, or it is closer to you. So, I guess it's your shop now, not mine.
No.
But yeah, we just picked up some cool stuff, dude. They had feral pigs, like a ton of Liga stuff, like
blown away with
Siri,
just the Drew
Unico
Estate.
Siri.
Then you're like, oh, let's go around the corner to this selection.
All the black
like,
label
what?
stuff and all that stuff. So
we even found a couple Placencias that we heard were really good in that line. I don't think I've had a bad one, but that, again, we were talking about how everything serves its purpose. The brick and mortar, it's just nice to go in, and yeah, you're going to spend a little more per stick, but I get to try one.
You get to try one. So you picked up a feral. I have a feral that I picked up there last time. But like you said, so obviously you're paying more per stick, but you get the opportunity to, first off, we just had an experience together. Like, that was fun. Yeah. Going through and just being like, that whole thing, like, oh, look over here. Like, dude.
Kid at a candy store. What did I call it? The dopamine rush when I was like, all right, look at this. And
yeah.
you're like, all right, look at that.
To me, that's like a comic book store.
Yeah, they have that? They have that edition? Oh, no way.
Exactly.
Wow, there's a collaboration between Marvel and DC.
So,
you showed me the leaf that I was like, wait, it's a collaboration.
Yeah, the leaf by James.
I was like, I'm in.
Oh, dude,
you didn't
Oscar
have to say
done.
it. You didn't have to say it.
So we've talked before about how that experience, you coming to my house with some sticks and us trading is very much like baseball cards. I guess let's say that the brick and mortar experience is it's like comic books, and in both cases they're bringing you back to your childhood. You called it like that dopamine rush, that idea of us just kind of walking through and discovering something new and something new and something new. And last time I was there, I think, what did I say? I spent $500.
And we spent over $200 between us.
Between the two of us, we each spent about $100.
By the next trip, it'll be $1,000.
But last time, too, I spent like $500. I put stuff back because I did it wrong last time. I went like kind of case by case, and so I was just accumulating stuff in my basket, case by case. This time we were a little smarter. Why?
Because you were like, hey, do you want a basket? Because it would have been better if I didn't. I'd only pick 3 sticks.
Well, I said that because if not, he would have come over in 5 minutes and be like, because that's what he did to me. But last time. But this time we did it a little smarter. We kind of went and looked around, right? And so you have an idea of where you want to go back and buy. That's the smart way to do it. The way I did it last time was not the smart way. Because it's like at the buffet where your plate just gets too big by the end.
By the third selection?
Or like every time I make tacos. Like, I don't know how to put the appropriate amount of first ingredient in a taco.
Right.
And so you make tacos.
Because if you put the cheese on right after the meat, then you don't have room for the,
But the thing is, I always put too much meat. Yeah, you put too much of the first ingredient. By the time you get to the last ingredient, that's the experience of the brick and mortar. But the thing is, the community of it, right? And just that. Well, that is a cedar culture. Literally, it's us around a bunch of humidors.
No, it is.
Communing around this like big boxes of cedar is kind of cedar culture.
And then you talk about cedar culture. The proprietor of the store came over and since he saw us kind of looking in one or two directions, was showing us some of the newer stuff he was getting in, or some of the stuff that it took him a while to get in. He also was trying to pawn off $35 sticks on us, but so he's a businessman too.
Or trying to pawn off $10 sticks for $35. But
hey. But no, he even solidified our stance on a few of the sticks that, from good friends that we've heard. Tavert's always been, it's funny, he's like, you ask me that every time you see a Placencia for sale. I'm like, is this the one? He's like, no, it's this one.
Dude, speaking of humidor space, it was so tough. I told you about my buddy who's kind of just got into smoking, and his wife had texted me before Christmas asking for some tips. And I mean, it was actually really tough for me because, she sent me a couple of humidors that actually look like mine, kind of old school humidor, a little on the cheaper end that, like mine, it just doesn't have a great seal.
More glass. When you have the glass front, it's tough to
seal.
So
she sends me that, and I was like, well, actually, if you want to get them something, get them this. And I sent her the 150 count, like I think it was the Auto I sent her, but like the winter or whatever, 150 count little fridge. And then I went over there on Christmas, and she wound up getting that one, and she was like, "Oh God, perfect," and I got to go over there on Christmas and see it, and I guess I'm a little jealous. Isn't that terrible? Like, have you ever done? I know it's happened to me. I can't think of another example where you're like make a Christmas recommendation for something. You're like, oh, really, I want that, but
no, I have, and it's like seeing the stuff that I get for my kids. I'm like, man, I never, like not that I was deprived at all. I don't want to think that, but Like, it is. Even like, man.
Well, the
my
first
kids
time I
need
saw
to
a
wake
kid
up.
with a Power Wheels, and like that wasn't a thing when we were kids, or at least we couldn't afford it.
Or I couldn't fit in it.
Yeah, even when you were 4, I know probably. But dude, the first time because I remember being like 10 years old and seeing like the 5-year-old down the street get a Power Wheels, and at 10, right, I'm still young enough to be like, God damn, like I want to be.
So you get
in
your
that.
license first.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
And he was like, he probably
Actually,
had to touch
no.
you probably
Really
had to touch
random.
a boobie before
Actually,
that kid,
no.
so-
He did not see me get my license. He moved down to Atlanta when we were still kids. And then when I was in my late 20s, I went to a baseball game, Phillies versus the Braves, in Atlanta at the stadium, and he was sitting behind me.
Stop.
We
it.
hadn't talked since the day he left. Him and his
That's
dad.
serendipitous.
Dude,
man.
I'm sitting there with my
How
girlfriend.
did you decide? How did you know who it was?
It took several innings before finally, I think they heard my voice. The dad and the kid heard my voice first, and so the way he told me later was that like for a few innings, so he's like, where do I know that? Where did I know that? Where did I know that? And I actually forget if they said my name or if they did one of those things where they start talking louder on purpose so I hear their voice and I turned around.
Or they were like, remember when we lived on
Yeah.
42 Elm Street?
It was something like that, yeah. But dude, and so here's the thing. Me and my girlfriend were sitting in chairs. They were the 2 chairs behind us, like one behind me, one behind her, in Turner Field in Atlanta.
What are the odds
we
of
happened
that,
to go
dude?
down there in like 2010 or 2009 or something like that. And by far the most wild, bizarre thing.
I just think it sucks that like you turned around and spilled your beer on him and you were like, where's your fucking Power Wheels now?
That would be great. But yeah, no, but that's it's such a funny thing. But yeah, I remember being a kid seeing that.
I love that
hysterical.
serendipitous stuff.
Dude,
though,
that
man.
is, I've got a couple of those, but that one's interesting too because he actually was friends with my cousin and I forgot, like they stayed in touch the whole time because they were the same age. And then a couple years after that, my cousin gets married and he comes up here from Atlanta for the bachelor party. So I actually got to see him again.
And that was after the baseball
It was
incident?
after the baseball
That's cool.
incident. And so got to see him again, but it was just such a wild, wild thing, dude, to be in another state and say, but I have another one of those, stationed in Hawaii
Okay.
with a guy who gets kicked out for drugs. That's in Hawaii.
Okay.
A couple years later, I'm in Tampa, just partying at a club, and run into him at the bar. I said club, I don't go to clubs. It was a bar in Ybor City. And so the guy I was stationed with in Hawaii, who gets kicked out in Hawaii,
Wow.
I'm just partying randomly at a bar in Tampa and run into him.
I didn't know you like. So what's the ruling? Like, why? What did he do that got him kicked out?
He failed a drug test.
Wow.
Yeah. You take random drug tests, yeah, and he failed.
It's crazy.
Are you shocked that you get kicked out of the military for drugs?
No, I didn't know like I didn't know the policy is like one and done. Like there's no like, hey, you get but the next one has to be
Well,
clean.
it depends, dude.
Okay,
And
I
at
don't
this time, this is when, this is shortly after 9/11.
Right.
Dude, and they would always piss test you before you get deployed. They always piss test you like when you get back from leave, like all these different things. Dude, back then, if you failed a piss test before you got deployed, they didn't tell you. Sometimes, some units, you would go do a full tour in Iraq and come back and find out you failed a piss test and get kicked out. Isn't that fucking nuts?
Holy shit! Talk about
Fucked up.
Unstolen Valor.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Going back to that story, I just love those serendipitous things. I've talked about it before. My buddy from high school is dating a girl from Marlton, and he's my friend from New York, and he would have been in the same town as me 15, 20 years apart, never would have known it. I think that stuff's amazing. And you hear those stories like woman loses her engagement ring on their honeymoon, they go on their 20th anniversary, she's on the beach and it washes to shore. Like
That'd be
wow,
crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, stuff like that has happened, I know.
Did you ever hear the story of there was a boy in a concentration camp, and a girl, like every day walked past the concentration camp, in Germany, and she like throws an apple to him. They're the same age, like 3, 4, 5 years old. Throw an apple to him, that goes on for however long they're there, 2 months, 3 months, and they strike up conversations. And one day he comes back and she comes to him and says, "Hey, tomorrow don't throw me an apple. We're being moved." Fast forward 40 years later or 30 years later, 2 people get set up on a blind date. They're sitting at dinner. Talked about where they grew up. She goes, "Oh, I grew up in a small village in Germany." He goes, "I was in a concentration camp in that town." He goes, "Yeah, this girl used to throw me apples." And she's like, "And did you tell the girl one day not to come back and throw apples because you were being moved?" He's like, "Yeah." They got set up on a blind date like 30 years later. They ended up getting married on like the Oprah Winfrey show or something. Like it was like one of those viral stories before there was like the internet. I think this was the early 90s.
Crazy.
Can you imagine sitting at that dinner and realizing that, I think he even said like, you fed me all those months and your memories fed me and I never want to be without you. Like I think they got engaged like that day.
Jeez.
Can you imagine?
That's,
Stuff like that.
No,
raises the hair on my
I
neck.
can't imagine. I went on a date with a girl one time that, obviously, my wife had cancer and wound up passing away. But when she was first diagnosed, there was a benefit, like a little fundraiser. And I wound up going on a date a few years later with a girl that happened to be at that fundraiser. And I thought that was neat, but like, it's not anything like that. I mean, this is still on the same small community and stuff, but it was kind of cool. And I was curious. So after that for date, I went back on her Facebook and I scrolled way back on her Facebook and there's like pictures of her, there at the event. It was a neat little thing.
Very neat little thing. No, I wasn't trying. I don't know that any story can ever live up to like that kind of how did your parents meet type of a story.
No.
Like I've heard of like childhood kindergarten sweethearts like reconnecting or whatever. Especially with Facebook, I'm sure it's ended a lot of relationships, and I'm sure it's started a lot of relationships.
Yeah. Facebook in general.
Just reconnecting on social media has got to be tough.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people who have a relative or something like that through social media, maybe reconnect with like a high school sweetheart or something, and then it winds up being their second marriage or something like that.
Right.
I've never met anybody that where it ended their marriage, but I'm sure it happened. Like I know it happened. It happened. Yeah, it absolutely happened.
Scary.
Crazy. Any changes for you? You were hoping for some changes.
Yeah, I'm trying. Like as the first third kind of winds down, I'm not getting any changes, but it's delicious. I mean, it's a great stick. I see for the price. I mean, any Muestra de Saka is going to be between like $18, $19, a stick. But no, I'm getting a lot of consistency through it. Are you any of the?
No, I'm still really enjoying it. So back to the diet thing. So the most successful diet I ever did actually was counting macros, which is definitely cumbersome.
Yeah.
Though the thing that's interesting though is when I got into the concept of counting macros, which if anybody doesn't know is you're instead of counting calories, you're going just one step further and you're counting a ratio of protein, fat, and carbs. It's another way to count calories. You're still coming up to a calorie total on the day. You're just making sure those calories are kind of evenly distributed among the 3 macronutrients.
Is that big in paleo? Because I know macros are big in keto.
Macros, they can't be big in keto because you're not eating carbs.
Well, counting them, I mean keeping track of your fats and your and your carbs. Because I think you're allowed a small window.
Yeah, in keto. In paleo, no. In paleo, the concept is like you kind of eat within these boundaries of like what you eat, and you don't typically count past that.
Okay.
And then but then you can count macros, and then if you're counting macros, you can choose if you want to just eat paleo within that or not. So it's kind of just like an extra layer. They're kind of not the same.
I like how you said it, like it's the step further of calories.
Yeah,
like that makes a lot of
because
sense.
you can do macros and be paleo or not, just like and so. That was the most successful for me because I did not do paleo within macros. I just did macros, and therefore, like every Saturday, I would eat a little personal pizza. That was, I would save up my calories. I would save up my carbs and my fat.
It's like
for the
deal
day.
a meal. I was trying to explain that to someone. Like, remember deal a meal? Like, you points and Weight Watchers and all that kind of stuff.
And so what I would do is on like a Saturday, I would work out in the morning, and then I would do like a protein shake, just a really high protein breakfast. No fruit or no bread or anything with breakfast. So it'd be like a protein shake. It would be some eggs with chicken. The one diner by me does, they call it a California omelet. I thought it would be gross. It's actually really good. It's like an omelet with like a low-fat cheese and chicken breast in it. And I thought it would be kind of dry and gross, but it was actually pretty good.
Do they shred it, chicken, or like cube it? Or like...
It's cubed, but like really small cubes, pretty small cubes, which is probably the key. You wouldn't want big chunks of dry chicken. So anyway, like I would do something like that, and then just not really eat for the next few hours. And so by dinner, I would do like a diet Pepsi and pizza, which a lot of people say obviously that's not like a great diet, but it made it really sustainable.
And we talk about balance all the time.
Yeah, and so I was able to do that for like 3 months, and I didn't have like those keto kind of results where you lose like 10 pounds a week or anything like that, but it was just, it was like 3 months of, it was very sustainable for me, even though you're weighing all your food. Once you get in that habit, it's great. The problem is, it's like it's like doing laundry or painting your house or something. It's kind of like you have to be inspired to do it and then do it. I don't think I'm going to be able to get myself to do it on January 1st. I don't see that happening for me. I don't see myself feeling like counting macros.
And you don't have any inclination to try like keto and just kind of see where it takes you?
I've done it a ton of times.
Yeah.
Like tried and see where it takes me. The biggest thing that's worked for me lately, I call it like not really a diet. It's the absence of a diet. Whereas I've been doing not over the holidays, but before the holidays, intermittent fasting. Yep. And that for me was good because not because I think I really did intermittent fasting the way you're supposed to, or I didn't know that I really saw the scientific kind of benefits or whatever. For me, intermittent fasting worked because it was at a time when I wasn't dieting. And so it just put all my calories in a smaller window, so I couldn't be as...
It's a forced...
It's forced starvation.
It's forced calorie restriction.
Forced calorie restriction is a better way to say it.
Politically correct way of saying. Well, because I've had people say I did intermittent fasting pretty strict, and I started at, I'm not going to eat till noon, and then that became very easy to attain. So I was like, well, I'm going to try 1 o'clock. And I'm going to tell you, for someone like me who's not a great planner, now I don't have to worry about on work days breakfast or lunch.
That's where intermittent fasting is great.
It saves so much time. And then I just got in the habit of I would break my fast with some mixed nuts when I got home from work. My wife kind of knew I would be hungry. So we started we call it during the week, we have Italian dinner, like time-wise. We're eating by 3:45, 4 o'clock.
Dude, yeah.
It's just weird because like the kids' friends will come over and they're like, we're eating dinner. And they're like, it's 4:05.
Yeah, that is weird. But it works. Like if it works for you, it's what works. Like that's.
And we saw our kids snacking less, like at night. Like they would have that meal at like between 4 and 5. Maybe have a yogurt or a piece of fruit at night, and kind of they're satiated. So it was like
that's good.
Starting to click a little bit.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, there's something here,
I agree with that. And you use the word like satiated and stuff, and that's definitely true. Once you even wean down carbs, like you find you just don't crave carbs as much. And the thing is, like over these holidays, and I know you've probably experienced it too, like you said, when you're keto, you're intermittent fasting, and you're just like, you're not hungry by noon the next day, you're not hungry by 2 p.m. What about when you eat carbs? Like when I eat carbs at night, I'm hungry the second I wake up, I'm famished.
And I felt so weird. So what led me to break these fasts, like to break my keto and my fasting? I gave myself 48, 72 hours, but I didn't really use them. But I knew like my sister was gonna make her French toast bake, which is just like
I know
she uses French baguette bread, and I mean it's just syrupy and sweet and amazing. So I was like, that's gonna be there. My mother-in-law is making homemade fudge, so I don't just break it for like
homemade fudge.
Pizza Hut,
Yeah, like on a Tuesday.
So I was like, okay, it's gonna be 3 days where this food's gonna be in front of me. Non-Perel's stupid. I don't know if you know those candies. They look like Hershey Kisses with the sprinkles on the bottom.
Oh yeah, you like those?
So my wife got this pretzel tray from our local, we're keeping our little Atco chocolatery. But she had them dipped, like they were chocolate dipped pretzels with those on them.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I'm gonna have a couple
I
of
don't
them.
like those little bead sprinkles kind of things. They're not my
Okay,
thing.
you don't like those? Do you like bubble tea, the gelatin ball things?
Never had one. Oh no, I have had. Yeah.
Or what's
that
that pudding?
Like
tapioca pudding?
Never had tapioca pudding, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So those like my wife, those consistencies, she doesn't like that kind of stuff. I'm like, I
it's something about the hard
the
sprinkles.
grittiness,
Those hard sprinkles. That thing I got. You probably like jujubes or something too. Really? Yeah.
There was a time in my life I liked all candy, and that's what's funny. Like the things I thought I was gonna miss on keto. I was a huge Snicker guy. Huge Snicker. I mean, like I would have two king size Snicker bars at lunch.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Really?
Like, dude, I was putting a lot of. I was working. I was 415 pounds to sustain that.
You have to.
That's work,
that's
bro.
Effort.
That's effort. I didn't wake up one day and I was like, whoa, what happened? Like, no, I inched my way there, pounded my way there. But like I started to find not replacements in a way, but I found like an all natural peanut butter. And Hershey's makes a ridiculous sugar-free chocolate chip. And I was like, all right, I'm going to kind of do that.
Yeah, I just took a big sip of whiskey thinking it was like my iced tea.
Are you okay?
Yeah, that was good.
I saw your face.
It didn't taste as bad as I expected. But
you made the same face I made when I like drank soda that someone was accidentally ashing their cigarette in, like at a barbecue. That ever happened to you?
All right, so this is a
Two
story.
or 3 times. I feel like an idiot every time it happens.
All right, I was in the Marines, so like that kind of stuff would happen to me not by accident on like dares. Dude, like when you're bored, when you're like in garrison in the military, like when you're not
You guys are like
doing
men
stuff.
with weapons, and you're daring each other to do stupid
Well,
shit.
dude, yeah, I mean, just the stupid stuff, right? Really big at the time was the cinnamon challenge.
Oh, yeah,
right?
like the
You
whole
do that.
teaspoon or
Like a
tablespoon?
whole yeah, I think it's just a teaspoon of cinnamon, right? And then you almost die. That's great. And then like somebody did the gallon challenge. And the thing is, like, this was in Hawaii. I was pretty young. This was like 2003.
The gallon of milk thing?
Dude, we did all of it. And so we had like one of the buildings that of like one of our kind of units, kind of like, I don't know, they're called like squad bays or just like just these utilitarian kind of bays where it's like your home base kind of thing. You just, I don't know, it's not an office. It's kind of like a classroom, but
Okay.
really, really old looking.
Okay.
Not done out well.
Antiquated?
Yeah, and you're just kind of chilling. And when you don't have anything to do, like when you're not on a training exercise, you're not on the gun range, you're not deployed, you're not doing this, that. Sometimes, like, you legit, like, you could go weeks where your only job is to, like, go sit in a room. Because you had to, like, report somewhere. Like, they're not going to just let you hang out in your barracks. But, like, if you're in between.
For how long?
Training
For a
exercise.
work day, 8 hours?
Oh, for 8 hours for weeks. Yeah,
Oh my God.
Like, and it would, you know, you know, depending, this is, I'm talking about a period when I was like a low rank, I was new to the unit. War was just kicking off, so like the unit's kind of efforts are like focused on those people that are getting ready to get deployed or this and that. And like sometimes you just fall through the cracks, and there's like 40 of you that just have nothing to do for 2 months, and you're just like you're not doing anything. You're trying to hide. Like you don't want people to see that you have nothing to do, but like
Right.
but anyway, yeah. And so you do stupid shit. And one time I was on a training exercise in Yuma, Arizona, but out there. You're like, Yuma is this terrible, terrible place. In June, it's like 120 degrees. It's freaking awful. There's nothing to do out there. There's one strip club, and it's just not fun. And I got kicked out of there. And
Save that story for another episode.
that'll be another episode.
A full
But the
one.
one time, again, I'm not proud of this, but hey, at this point, this is when I was stationed in California. We were over in Yuma, Arizona on a training exercise. I'm like 22 years old or something. And yeah, for 3 Bud Lights and $5, I drank like a half a Gatorade bottle of Dip Spit.
A half a Gatorade bottle?
Of the smaller Gatorade bottles that are like thinner.
That's still ounces. You
Yeah,
had
yeah.
ounces.
Like a
Did you
good.
violently throw up?
No, but I got $5 and 3 Bud Lights.
Dude, I'll give you $5 and 3 Bud Lights to never do that again.
I promise you, at 38 years
Oh,
old, hey, the
man,
age came
that's
up again.
terrible.
I will never do that again.
That means I have to drop
promise.
my cigar, because you brought up age, I have to drop my cigar.
Oh, my buddy Jay texted me one time, and he said, when I'm editing the episodes, whenever you drop a cigar, he was like, you need to do a little counter. Or no, he said have a whiteboard magnet back behind us.
That's a good idea.
And just every time you drop a cigar, I actually have a little whiteboard over there.
can
I
do
could
that.
stick it up behind there. Gary's cigar drop.
I'm really going to
gallery.
try not to drop this one. You know what nuances I am getting out of this, though? I had a weird honey retrohale, and I haven't gotten it again.
I can
but
see
like
that.
slight, almost a nougat. Remember the one cigar I was telling you about that they don't make anymore? It's a small boutique cigar. This kind of has that profile.
Yeah?
It's just an enjoyable, like it's not a, but I was expecting a pepper, but I don't know why. I was expecting like more pepper.
I don't know, I came in without a lot of expectations. Can you remember, like I said, I don't have a great memory for cigars, but
Now Leave Me the Hell Alone.
which one do you like better? Was that a Lancero or was it
And it's weird to kind of say, like kind of halfway through, I think I liked that one better.
I agree.
And I'm not a Lancero guy. Again, big
Dude, I
hands,
think we're
small
closet
things.
Lancero guys because
And I like
every time you have one though, doesn't it tend to be? But that might be because we reserve Lanceros for special occasion cigars a lot of times,
And
and
it
they're
could be
also
the way it's
they're less
blended.
common. But like the Cookie Monster, was that a Lonsdale or a Lancero?
it's in there, yeah.
I really like that.
like for a mild, like bready
I
cigar.
think the problem is, and we've talked about this before, like for me, a big part of the cigar is how it feels in my hand. And like this
This is a
this
size that
feels
I
like
can
a
hold.
cigar.
I'm not going to drop this.
This feels like a good cigar size.
Lancero, I feel like I'm
Lanceros
gonna
do
break.
not, but I'll tell you, somehow they're
I think it's the
long
way
and
it's
skinny.
I think it's
they
the way
still
the
draw
tobacco's
well.
concentrated.
Lanceros tend to draw well, and the flavors and they say that, right? They say if a blend, I think one of us had said this and read it somewhere that kind of the old adage is sort of like it's hard to make a Lancero, but if they nail it, then it's often the best blend.
And
or
I
the
think
best
that's
size
why
of blend.
Saka was like, now leave me the hell alone. There's my Lancero. Because I don't think he's the biggest fan either.
And I would pick it. I would pick it as
Yeah, no, I think.
over this.
Yeah, I think I would too. And that's not to say that this isn't good. I think it makes us saying that Lancero is that good.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. And it's each their own. Like, I mean, you watched another video where somebody said this is their favorite Muestra. Like, dude, like, they make 6 or 7 or however many different Muestra cigars now, like, obviously for a reason, right? And if not, there would be one cigar out there and we would all love it.
It's funny because we both had this, and I was going to smoke it one day, and I was like, don't. I was like, from what I'm reading, this is the one to sit down with a buddy and like really share stories, which is what we do. So I was like, we definitely got to make this an episode. Again, really, really good, solid, consistent. No flavor changes, but again, I'll get that, sweet tobacco, honey, nougaty flavor on a retrohale every so often, and it's really delicious.
Nice. Yeah, it has been consistent. Yeah.
I actually attributed some of my ability to stay keto with the cigars I was smoking. Like, I was smoking a lot of sweet-tipped infused, and it really hit the spot at the end of the day.
I wonder if you actually have a straight-up, like, sweet-tipped, like one of the Deadwoods or whatever.
Sugar.
That's straight. Like, that counts as carbs, I bet.
It sure does. I'm sure it does. But
I mean, we're talking a couple grams.
It's a
but
couple,
it's
right,
funny.
and like I said, like there was a time like I was getting 0, and my wife's like, in the beginning you're allowed like 30 carbs a day, and I was
Were you
crazy
tracking?
strict in the beginning. Only sugars. That's the only macro I was counting, and like literally I was getting like 3 sugars a day. And then I looked at stuff I used to eat, like a pint of Ben & Jerry's. I was like, this has 100 and something grams of carbs. I don't have that.
Dude, I've had like 2 pints of Ben & Jerry's since Christmas Eve, and I don't know, it's like 4 days.
So it's funny, like my wife actually started to know.
It's not funny.
She was like, when you
terrible.
when you cheat on keto, she's like, you're doing it with like good stuff. She's like, you won't have Domino's if the kids have Domino's. Like, but I'll get pizza from this one pizza place I love. I'll save my stuff for my homemade sugary stuff. Like, I'm not going to get a Dunkin' Donut. You know what I mean? So at least I kind of feel like mature in that sense. Like,
Did
I'm
you
not
get
just
yourself
cheating.
one of your keto cheesecakes for the holidays?
No, because you had to stand in line. It was impossible. And this place is delicious. I'm actually so excited because in the next week or 2, I'll be able to go and actually order one. They stopped taking orders between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you just waited in line and hoped you got something good. I knew
There should have been a separate line just for the sugar-free stuff, because that line is not for the sugar-free stuff.
It's literally one baker and his kids and his wife. It's a small operation.
That line is not for the sugar-free stuff. That's for the good stuff.
But they probably weren't even wasting their time ordering them. Like, I was ordering them personal.
When Allie got the pretzel tray, did the chocolatier give you some sugar-free stuff?
I don't think so this time around.
I get it. They're all making their money at the holidays. I get it. They're focusing on the money-making activities and everything.
But I will say, in Thanksgiving, when she threw in the salted caramels, sugar-free, delicious.
How do you do a sugar-free caramel?
I don't know. Maybe can you reduce like swerve or a sugar substitute?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know.
Maybe there's something else that they use. I don't know.
Or maybe it was an artificial flavoring, because I have a sugar-free caramel thing for my coffee, and it's like I'm like a 12-year-old.
Dude, I wound up buying the sugar-free hazelnut creamer, and I don't like it.
I don't like now creamers are different. I stick with I do one creamer.
Oh, do you do like
I'm talking about flavoring? Oh yeah, that's the way.
So what's the creamer that you use?
It's I think Coffee Mate makes it, right? That's the big company.
Is that vanilla one or something?
No, it's Italian sweet cream. It almost is like the inside of a cannoli. That's like what's on the cover.
Oh.
And Allie wanted to get me vanilla, but they were out and like they just substitute
And you
stuff.
like that one.
And I love the sweet cream.
So would you do a little bit of that and a flavor bump?
I'm a 12-year-old girl with my coffee, buddy. I love it.
Yeah, no.
And it's good. I'll even do that with flavored coffee. So I'll do a creme brulee flavored coffee with caramel and Italian sweet cream creamer. And it's like a meal.
I mean, I actually like coffee, like the flavored coffee. So I actually just bought a new little coffee, a pour over thing. What's that?
I said I want to try some.
Yeah, no, like a maker, not like a coffee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bought a new maker, but it's like a pour over thing. There's a big brand, I forget what it is, but I bought a knockoff because at this point they're all the same.
Nespresso or something?
No, Chemex is the big thing. No, it's pour over. It's more artisanal. Like,
you have to show me.
Yeah, I have to show you the kit. So it's you boil the water in a kettle.
Oh.
It has like a built-in thermometer. And like I tapped one of my buddies, and he might actually watch this one. He's not a cigar guy, but we were just talking recently. Let's check it out. But he's big into coffee, and dude, it's the kind of thing where I asked him, and he's like, "All right, here's what I like to do. I like to boil my water between 205 and 207 degrees." And like it's something like that. It was like a really tight window.
Well, that's how we are with our humidifier. Like we're gonna
sort of. I'm not,
some people.
But Yeah, and so you do that. Like he has a little hand grinder. So the beans he's going to use that day, he grinds.
Wow.
And you boil your water, and then you put it in this pour over thing, which looks just like an hourglass. And so when you put a cone filter in the top, because it's like that hourglass shape, cone filter in the top, and your coffee grounds. And then when you take that kettle, the hot water, and you pour it over, and like a sands of hourglass, but it like drips down through this thing into a bottom wedge shape.
I like that. That sounds awesome.
I'm looking forward to it, and he swears by it, and it's for him. He does it every day. He has 3 kids, works from home, makes a ton of money doing sales, and has the time to do this in his day. So if he can do it, I can do it.
I like that you can make it an event, just like we always talk about smoking cigars, like how it's different. Smoking a cigar that was made by machine is just a different experience than smoking a cigar that was grown, hand-rolled.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to try it. But anyway, I kind of brought all that up just to say I actually do just like the taste of coffee. You're just getting in the coffee. So you're in the Laroutan Deadwood phase of your coffee journey, right? Like it's
Which
sweetened
has its place, man.
Has its place. But I'm wondering, right? And I'm curious. Obviously not tonight, but when I start using this Chemex thing, like maybe one time you come over.
Oh,
like,
100%.
Well, here'll be some coffee, black, like made through this process.
Try it.
Dude, I have another thing, like a cold brew maker that's kind of similar. It looks like a whole chemist set. Dude, it's actually got like spinny glass and all that stuff. And like
Schematics and Bunsen
dude,
burners.
you do it before you go to bed. Pretty much, you do it before you go to bed because it's doing like 1 drip every couple minutes.
But see, that makes sense because it's absorbing. Like I always thought, like my wife.
And it's a cold brew.
My wife's a percolator gal, so she doesn't like the coffee makers. Like ours is a percolator because like we want that
cool.
flavor infused. So we
Yeah.
have an old school percolator.
Is that the thing where you put it? It's like a pot that you put on the stove top.
No, well, I think they have those, but this is an electric, so literally there's no on-off switch.
Okay.
So you just plug it in.
Now the grounds are in with the water.
The grounds are at the top in a separate filter, and then the boiling of the water siphons it up through.
Like the steam.
Yep.
Goes through.
Well, like the water will actually boil and kind of rise up through and filter through and then drip back in. So it's getting stronger. Like so.
Yeah.
I was gonna say newer cigar smoker. As a newer coffee drinker, I think I'm drinking stronger.
You have to figure out then, right? Like I imagine, just like I was talking about with the temperature of the water and this, that. With that, you probably figure out, well, how long do you let it percolate? Because
it has its own, like a light comes on when it's ready, and then it stops percolating.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And then it stays warm.
And then like another one is a French press, like, and that's what my buddy said. He said
Ali had a French
his
press.
French press. He said is second to this Chemex method.
I'm excited to take a look at your Bill Nye setup here.
Kind of, yeah.
Cool.
I'll definitely show it to you. But the one with the cold brew, dude, in the reservoir up top, I'll put a little bit of water and a bunch of ice. So it's literally as the ice is melting overnight, like a drip is going through into this little thing.
Now, do you then heat it up, or it's cold? You drink it cold?
No, that's cold brew. Like that's just brewed cold.
And you drink it cold?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Different than iced coffee, which is brewed hot and then made cold.
Right.
Yeah, cold brew is brewed cold. Stays cold the whole time.
Okay.
You're so new to coffee. Like it's blowing my mind that this is new to you, but like I get it. Like you just don't
drink
coffee.
Like
yeah.
the only
there's
coffee.
One brand of cold brew called
I make it every day
Chameleon.
for my wife, and that's it. That's the
There's
one I
this
do.
one brand of cold brew called Chameleon.
Okay.
We're gonna have to get it for you, or you have to try it.
I have to do a coffee episode with cigar pairing.
Yeah.
Fun.
We should do that.
Like,
well, maybe later in the break, like if you're able to come over earlier, like there's no way we're doing this when we shoot at 8 p.m. one night. Like we'll have to do that.
Well, we had.
Dude, what if we did? I mean, I don't know. You got to check with the boss, right? You come over like on New Year's Eve. We do some coffee, do an episode with some coffee, and then we go for walk a half marathon. And then we could come back and shoot another episode after that.
God.
It'd be a long day. You would need to get like an 8-hour pass. But it's all for good.
It is. We're working right
Of
now.
the 8 hours, like the most significant portion of that would be walking.
Walking.
It would be the.
What we should even do call it the walking stick and do like a cigar while we walk.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Probably
definitely
get in 4 hours and probably do 4 sticks.
No, I don't know if I could walk and smoke a
No,
stick.
I can't.
I really can't.
I tried to do it with my dog the other day. It didn't. work out
I
well.
walked by a guy with a walking stick today or yesterday. He was a dude walking his and he looked like a dude that would do walking sticks.
I have a neighbor.
Probably in his mid-50s. I think he even had, at least in my mind, he had one of those Jeff caps on forward, like the little golf caps. He had like a little golf cap, older gentleman with a belly, probably wearing like a leather bomber jacket, probably walking a pit bull or something like that, and smoking. None of that's true. But
Like, I wonder if we'll get to that point. I have a buddy who, like, he calls them his road dogs or road sticks or whatever. He literally always has a cheapy cigar in his mouth, working on his Harley, working on his truck. Always. He's always got a cigar. It's almost like Churchill did. He always had a cigar in his mouth.
We've talked about this before. It's like the separation of church and state. Like, I don't want, and we actually talked about this today on our drive to the brick and mortar, right? How this is church. This is like cigar smoking is religion. I don't want to mix my church and state. Like, I don't want to mix my calming stuff with my work.
I agree, and that's why we even...
No, you should try it in the school, like while you're at work.
that'll go over real well.
Bringing a kid in to discipline them. Okay, guard it up. You're like, all right, see, here's what you did wrong.
Now, I also turned into a 1930s detective. This.
Here's what you did wrong. See.
This disciplinary review is brought to you by Chesterfield Cigarettes. See. No, but. And it, like, you know, villains always have, it's like vilified. Like, villains always have a cheapy cigar hanging out of their mouth, but now heroes are as well, so it's kind of cool. Like,
cigars are interesting in that way, and right now, I mean, we live in a world, obviously, like, you know, tobacco use is probably at like an all-time low, obviously, especially in large part due to cigarettes and, like, people obviously not smoking cigarettes as much and all that. But,
right.
you know, we've talked before, I think, too, with, you know, cigars feel like they're making a comeback in the opposite direction, sort of in the face of that, which is kind of crazy. And then there's stuff like,
it's younger. I feel like cigars are, or the youth is reclaiming the cigar culture.
Well, Drew Estate, right, they say the rebirth of cigars, and they've been saying that for years. And
I think it's true.
I do. I think it's true, and I think they helped usher that era in. I think that they helped pave the way for all these little boutique brands.
And I'm so thankful.
Much in the way that, like, the Dogfish Heads paved the way, or the Sierra Nevadas paved the way.
Even Sam Adams.
Yes, even Sam Adams, like, paved the way a bit for the craft brewers.
Yeah.
And you know, I think Drew Estate did that for a lot of these brands.
And I really like how you kind of compared to my coffee journey to the cigar journey, because I think it's very similar. My wife would always say to me, she would take a sip of coffee and go, I don't know how you smoke these dark, beautiful, oily cigars and you don't like coffee. She's like, I have to get you better coffee to try. That's really how it all started.
Well, that makes sense. And then you were saying that for a long time before you finally kind of, I guess, caved. I don't know how you wound up doing it. But
it happened kind of like how yours happened, how your journey into cigars happened. Going kind of with COVID, I was getting out of work a little earlier because we would do kind of shorter educational days, and then they would want, if you could work from home, they were like, do the last half day be by your phone and by your computer.
So Allie working from home is like making coffee and stuff.
No, she, as like a treat to her, because she was at home half the day with the kids, I would stop at Dunkin' and get her a coffee.
That's right.
And it happened around the fall, so there were this pumpkin.
Sugar-free.
No, well, I wasn't getting it for myself, and I got her an extra large, and the cap wasn't on right. So like I'm driving, and I had to kind of drink some, or it was spilling everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is really good. The pumpkin flavor is like really good. So the next day.
You're like.
What?
No, it's like Gary in 2020 was Karen in 1995.
It was.
Discovering that pumpkin spice lattes are good.
Oh my God. And I was like, there's all these flavors. So, the next day, I'm like, extra large pumpkin with cream for my wife. And I was like, I'm going to try a small with the sugar-free hazelnut. I didn't like the sugar-free hazelnut didn't work for me. But then the vanilla and the other flavors they had, and caramel was always there, but then they never had it. So my wife ended up finding the pump for me, and I was like, delicious. So,
nice.
So it started just like the day you walked up and you were like, I'm gonna try. I was like, I'm gonna try a small coffee, and I was excited the first day I finished a small coffee because it was collectively more coffee than I had ever drinking in my entire life. That one small Dunkin' coffee. So I was like, I was proud of myself, and I really haven't looked back. Remember, you were even like, dude, start drinking water, because I was like filling my Yeti up, and I was like, headaches and all this. I was like, oh, it's the caffeine. No, I was dehydrated because instead of water, I was drinking coffee.
Yeah, I mean, like one cup of coffee is not going to dehydrate you too much or whatever, but yeah, you just start drinking tons of coffee late in the day. But which is crazy that it didn't really keep you up. But
I would have a coffee at 7 or 8 o'clock and go like right to bed.
I used to be able to do that when I was younger. Like when I was younger,
but I'm new. Like you were drinking coffee, weren't you?
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm surprised. I mean, at our age, I just think we're more sensitive.
I want to go to bed.
I know. Like, I'm surprised you're able to drink coffee before. Like, as we get older, it's more like the opposite. It's like, I used to drink coffee late, but now can't touch the stuff past 1 p.m.
But am I like drinking so much chemical of the sugar-free stuff and so much creamer that it's like counteracting?
Maybe.
Any flavor changes for you through stick? I'm a little further ahead of you.
You are a little further ahead than I am, but no, none. I mean, this has been so consistent, and I think that's good in this stick. You know, I think sometimes, and you said it earlier, like I'm looking for those changes, which is great. Like that's a thing that you look for. But sometimes in your humidor, you need some space for
a consistent
trustworthy, kind of consistent stick, which this is.
And it's interesting that it's a Puro because I think the other Puro we had also kind of no changes. So I wonder if it's that mix of different tobaccos and different blends that lead to that change. You know, I'm not a blender expert by any stretch of the imagination.
Probably, but I can imagine that you could get that change with a Puro too, because you can have kind of different strains of tobacco grown in the same, in different parts of the plant, of course. Yeah, too. That's a good point. So, I don't know, man. This is. It's been a great stick. I think we'll just call it here.
No flavor profile changes, but
we have about the last third left, but I don't foresee anything changing with the stick.
No.
We'll take this one offline. Been another, obviously, great fun episode with you, bud. Let's go crush the rest of the stick and order some food. I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. And I think I said it in here on our walk into the garage to do this. I said any day we get together and smoke a Saka stick, that's a win in my book. It
is a good episode stick in that what you had heard from a friend, like this is a good stick with a buddy. I would definitely agree with that, especially since it's so consistent. Like it's not going to take me on a journey by myself.
And I'm like, be quiet, I want to hear this or I want to feel this and see this. Like
exactly. It's a good point.
Good
like,
sweet leather.
This isn't going to take me through a journey in itself. So smoke it with a friend. Have that journey with your friend, and every time you come back to take a puff of the cigar, it's going to be there waiting for you, just the way you left it. Super consistent.
Yeah, make it a journey with your conversation and your buddy.
All right, buddy. As always, long ashes.
Stay smoky, friends.
Thanks for checking out the Cedar Culture Podcast. If you'd like that episode, go ahead, tap, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on your platform of choice. And if you are on YouTube, hit that bell as well to be notified of new episodes. It really helps us out. We appreciate it.
And then don't forget to head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow us as well.
Do it.
Do it.